Welcome back to the Drummers Podcast. Today's guest is a drummer from New York that almost don't need introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, the Drumeo Award winner, Alex Cohen.
Hey,
Hey, how are you, man?
good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. You're living in New York, right?
Living in New York, born and raised here.
Okay, and how
Yep.
old were you when you started playing drums?
12 when I first started playing. My parents got me this Casio drum pad, which was I broke like two of them or something because I A, hit really hard, and B, I just played a lot. They finally got me this very, very old Roland B drums kit. And so that was really my first my intro into real drum set playing. And then I got a Yamaha Stage Custom set for, I think it was Christmas or my 13th birthday. And being a Yamaha artist kind of feels like full circle. So
And did you start by having drum lessons?
yes, I studied at the Drummers Collective from the age of 12 up until my early 20s. I tried to take privates there as much as I could and had learned a lot from some great teachers, and now I work there at the collective alongside several of those teachers. So that's been very cool.
When you start having drum lessons, you didn't know how to play drums at all.
Oh no! In fact, I was so bad that the first teacher didn't want to teach me. He said to my parents, "This kid has zero natural ability." He said, "This kid, he's learning disabled." I mean, I still am, but he basically said, I don't think this is worth your time. My mom always likes to remind me that I think I had started crying and begging that I could, continue to try and take lessons. And so I guess I don't know if that's true or not. That maybe just be my mom. That's kind of my story with regards to starting, but I practiced from the age of 13 up until now. I tried to clock in at least. Back then, it would be whenever I could, so 3 hours, etc. Now, when I hit college and up till now, I try to do 6 to 8 every day, and it's been that way for roughly 15 to 17 years, I think.
You also do work as a session musician. How did it start? It was with people on college? Was it your friends?
Friends, and then after college, just answering Village Voice and Craigslist and social media ads. A big part of it was I got very tired of the quote-unquote jobbing aspect of living in New York, and the gigs started becoming fewer and fewer. A lot of people are noticing that. I think that at the time I realized I was getting a lot more attention because of the educational stuff I was doing and the books I was writing and the people I was working with for that. In the past year, I feel like I've made more progress in my career and my life than I had in 10 years of thankless gigs around New York. And that was just iPhone videos and book promotion and working and randomly messaging the right people, I guess.
Do you have a tour with a specific band playing live or something?
Yeah, Malignancy back in 2012 was a big one. Because I just got completely demolished on that tour. We opened for this band and the drummer just wiped the floor up with me night after night. So I really went on that tour thinking I knew my shit and that, it would be great and I was going to do awesome. Everyone would love me. And sure enough, I got a slice of humble pie. Again, this guy just wiped me out. Night after night. He was tighter, he was faster, hit harder, cleaner. I sounded like an amateur. People were even like, what's this drummer doing? So luckily, Danny and Ronnie believed in me enough that I would eventually do the set justice. And, 12 years later, still playing. So sounds a lot better now, but that was a lot of work.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Like, how do you plan your practice routine? Is it on the day? Is it on the day before?
No, it's on the day of. Usually it's the amount of time I'm in the studio or I have available between lessons. I try to practice things that work as many aspects of my playing as possible. So, for example, today I was working on a triple Radamacue in the hands, and then a solo in the feet under it, and also a triple Radamacue in the feet and a solo in the hands on top of it. And I have this Band-Aid on my thumb because I cut my thumb open while opening that Yamaha DTX. So it's much harder to grip the stick today.
Yeah.
But there's no excuse to not practice. It's a lot of that type of stuff. Working on something that I know will work multiple facets of my playing, and then if I want to really work my timing, if I feel like I have the phrase down well enough, I'll put the metronome on the offbeats or on the second triplet, third triplet, E, etc. If it's quintuplets, I'll put it on. Whatever rate it is, I'll try and create as much of an advanced micro timing challenge as I can for myself.
If you want to do something new, or if you you feel that you already done with what you were practicing the day before, where are you going to find the new material to practice or new ideas? You just sit on the drums and
take the sticks. So if I can do it with one stick, take the second and use Ramon Montanier's dual grip.
Oh yeah.
Try and come up with a fifth limb. You get a fifth limb working. Take the stick, put it in your left hand, try the same thing.
You do use also other drummers and especially friends to get motivation?
100%. I'll always do Riccardo Merlini stuff. That's had a big impact. Ramon stuff has had a huge impact from working with both of them. Yoni Madar's stuff had a huge impact in my development of a lot of the hand motions and kind of the throws and snaps with the fingers, that type of stuff. And Andy Prado Jr. has lately had a big influence on me regarding my ideas of phrasing, using certain rudiments, the way his chops flow, and the speed and the accuracy he can play with, and the musicality. It's really really inspiring to me. So that's been a person I've been very influenced by as of late.
You did won Grammy from Drumeo, right?
That was one of the better moments of my life, to be honest. I put so much time and effort into this, and there were a lot of times I just felt like it's no point. I should probably quit. And why am I doing this? Seeing all these other people go places, and I'm not going anywhere. And I feel like I'm just sitting in a room making crappy iPhone videos, don't have much of a career. That really affirmed that I made the right decision to keep going.
Especially after COVID, people somehow are questioning more their career as drummers that they did before. So it's kind of difficult to find motivation. And another thing in the same subject related is that when we have a lot of information and a lot of source of information that we can drink from, it's very difficult to stay focused on what you really need in your own practice. So it happens to me that I wake up and while I'm having my coffee, I'm on YouTube or internet and I see, for example, Alex Cohen. And I say, oh man, I want to practice this today. Next day I see Raman. And I try to practice a lot different stuff. Next day I see jazz drummer, for example, and I'm trying to practice some swing independence. Do you think it's a good way to improve yourself, to keep changing your practice, or you think you should focus on one thing until you feel comfortable with and then move on?
Me in particular, I like changing it up. Even though I'm working on different ideas, I still go about them the same way. I like doing them open-handed. I do them right-hand lead. I'll work all the different limb sets. Regardless of what it is that I'm practicing, I'm still working all those fundamentals and still working the neural pathways that I try to exercise to make myself as completely balanced as possible that way. If I could do it with a certain combination of limbs, but I should be able to do it with another combination, and then you start rotating it through all those combinations. Before you know it, you've got an entirely different thing, and it's much more challenging. Let's say you want to play swing. Okay, you're working on your swing independence. Now put your swing in your left foot as the hi-hat pattern and work the comping around the left foot. A lot harder.
Way harder.
Yeah.
I saw that with my students. Even changing the dynamics of a certain exercise makes it way more difficult. what you can do with just changing the dynamic. And even for me, sometimes I say, "Oh, this is a thing to practice." It seems more simple than it is.
I mean, teaching for me, that's very much, I think, where my passion lies at this point, because, again, I've gotten further through it than I did through a lot of just crappy gigs, basically, and, just jobbing gigs that got me nowhere. And the thing is, I find that when I teach and through my teaching, I a lot of the time will come up with new exercises for my students, but also for myself, as well as a lot of the time I'll show my students stuff that I've been working on and still fundamentals that I practice, be it specific hand motions or, developmental exercises. Some of the
Yeah,
like the Ricardo stuff. I usually give them the basics of the Ricardo stuff and then have them go and get his course. He's a friend. Gotta give credit where credit is due. What he's done
sure.
is remarkable. Same thing with Ramon. I show them kind of Ramon's basics of his open clothes where he snaps it back up, and I direct them to his videos to see that. So a lot of that stuff, I still work on the fundamentals all the time. I should say, I think it's very important to always be a cognizant of that. That's just sort of my modus operandi of teaching, but also pushing myself in a
Learning
lot
at
of
the same
ways.
time, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, and like again, I'm here. I'll show you the studio that we have. I
Wow.
try the studio that I'm in is very bare bones. We keep it relatively clean, but really the thing is when I'm here, there's very little distraction. So I'm practicing and I'm in it. Same thing when I'm on pads. I usually turn the sound off because the sound can distract you. You want to rock out, you want to have fun. And
Yeah.
when there's no sound, you're in the alignment, detail, really hearing if you're flamming or how your articulation is. So I try to keep my practice very focused that way.
This couch over here, I took it away for 1 year and a half, I believe. When I used to get tired over here, I used to sit over there and spend a lot of time. Since it's back, I'm finding myself sitting there more than I should again. Since I hit my 30s, I keep questioning my life a lot again and again and again. There's a thing that make me thinking a lot about it. Like, what do other drummers think? You are practicing and you are thinking about that thing. Sometimes you feel like nothing is happening. It's not that it's not happening, but you feel like I'm seeing my last month and I have no gigs. I have no time and I have no money, for example. And I'm seeing that my next month is going on the same way. I feel stuck. Question one, do you feel like that sometimes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course. I think we all do. When I feel like that, I go to my drum set and I try and make social media content so that I can look for more work, promote myself more. So that's a big part of it too, is I want to come up with new ideas to feed the social media algorithm and make sure I'm still on the radar. That's actually been quite helpful for the development of a lot of my material, funny enough, because you think it would be a distraction, but in a lot of ways, that's been the catalyst for a lot of my ideas. And it's also a way where I can see how far I've come on certain things. And maybe if I've let something regress, I need to work on it.
That's a good way to go over it. In my case, for example, I start doing also social media. I record it all by myself, the audio, the video. You work hard to do as best as you can, but then it's never as you want it. Now I look for this videos that I did before. For example, it was an improvement like to 100% comparing to the last video. So it was good to do it. But while you're doing it, you think it's not working as you want it. What about your book? Did you decide to write a book, or it keep happening naturally?
Well, the first book was something that I'd wanted to write for many years. I had the ideas and I couldn't play them. So finally I could play them and I just needed to link up with Hudson. And that was when those Alex and Tobias videos happened, which came out of nowhere. Basically, it was a random message to Tobias who I hadn't seen in 10 years. Then I saw Rob from Hudson liked it. And so I messaged Rob randomly, just shot in the dark, and said, would you ever like me to do a book? And he said yes. That was the beginning of book number one. Now, at this point, I sounded like a complete amateur when book number one came out. I feel like I've come a long way. since then. The development of the concepts, the musicality, my facility with them. And that led to book two because I had met Ramon and Yoni over social media, and Ricardo and I met later. We had met over, social media, especially during COVID. And I
Yeah.
discussed it with Ramon. Let's do a book. And he was, he said, yeah. And the next thing we knew, we had the ideas. I wrote them. We wrote them down. I edited the text, etc., sent it to Hudson, and people really liked it. It was really interesting because a lot of it was very unusual. It seemed like a very unusual pairing. And suddenly people were like, no, this actually works. That was a big part of it.
Since we have a lot of it and a lot of information, especially now online, it must be difficult for you to have a book and still have something new to tell. But what do you think about it? Is it?
Yeah, there's always going to be something that's not covered. I mean, until someone can play 10,059 against 11,012, well, there's more information to cover, right? So maybe there is someone out there who can do that. I don't know. But so there's that. Until I can play Ramon's grip with two hands, playing 7 in one stick, 5 in another, 4 in one, and 11 in this one, over a 5-pedal ostinato in the feet. Well, there's more to cover, right?
Sure.
You see, there's this constant, there's always a boundary to be pushed. And that's why I don't tire of it, because I know I barely scratched the surface of what's possible even after all this time.
That made this a good question, because I thought the answer for that would be there is nothing more to be discovered, but this is my personal perspective of it. You have a different kind of answer, which is a very good answer. Makes total sense.
I think one of the reasons why my stuff is catching on now, and it seems like people are really responding to it, is because the comprehensiveness of it and the way that I've really broken down a lot of things. But the limb equalization, the idea is that you can get a lot through doing these exercises on a musical level, not just on a technical level. And therefore, there's also the idea that this stuff helps build up your time. It helps build up so many things. And most people don't see the instrument that way or the benefits of the instrument that way. And then when they study with me, they start seeing the results. So for me, that's enough of a reason to keep pushing and keep refining the methods, working on my own techniques. Because again, I mean, like, I can't do push-pull like Ramon can. I can't do the singles like Ricardo can. So till I can, well, there's stuff to work on.
Yeah, sure.
If you are losing motivation in this day and age, watch some social media. I can give you a list of drummers. It's people who say there's nothing left to practice or I don't know what to practice. Please go online. I could give you a list of people to watch and you will want to practice.
You'll find out. Yeah. And that's a good thing that I saw that you do on your books, which for me, it's an amazing, innovating way of doing it, which is you do recommend not the books for people to read before reading yours.
100%. I think that if you're going to read mine, you need to get the most out of it. And I think one of the problems with a lot of books is they're very advanced and they're like, yeah, this is totally accessible. It's really not. You will get nothing out of it. If you work on the Marco Miniman book or the Thomas Lang book or the Virgil Donati book and you are not prepared technically, you won't get anything out of it. You'll probably develop bad habits because of it. And I think that those books are definitely not meant for introductory drummers. I think, or I should say drummers that have not studied sufficiently the kind of techniques that you need to get something out of them and really create something with them. That's sort of where I'm at with why I recommend those books.
It happens to me when I was a kid. I went to a Virgil Donati masterclass. So I went there and they gave us a drum sheet. And I was already reading, but badly. I was starting drums. They put it some displacement of double paradiddle and with a different accenting. And for me, it was very, very difficult. I saved it, but I didn't understood much. I like it very much to watch him play, but the scores didn't help much. 5 or 6 years later, I found on my studio books, and it was one of the things that helped me more to get out of the point that I was stuck in at that moment. When you start a book, making sure that that you are prepared for what you are finding out on that book. because other way is probably useless, or is probably bringing you more bad than good, because it will bring you a lack of confidence and a lack of a will to doing it, because you feel that you are too far away, or it's too difficult for
It's
you.
discouraging. I mean,
Yeah.
I suffered two successive nervous breakdowns working on that Marco Miniman book. In fact, most people didn't think it could be finished, and I finished the book. I got through it. I could do all the stuff in it, and people looked at me like I had two heads when I said, "No, I got through the whole book." And then it was then I had to take it further. So the art of taking it further, how high the level has been set, and then you need to jump up a notch. The amount of work it took to do that, it was 20 years of it, and it's still not done, not even close. These blanks on the map, or there being all this unexplored territory, and we just need to someone needs
Yeah.
to start the journey there, and others will follow. And I really hope that I see in the next 20 years people coming along that kick my ass at my own material. I would love to see that. You know, it was funny because Jared, when we were on, Ramon and I were at Drumeo, we were out to dinner after, and Jared goes, "You know, you guys do realize that in 10 years, some kid's going to come along that just kicks both of your asses
It
and you're
keeps
snapping."
happening on social
Yeah,
media, right? Like it keep
yeah,
happening. You
please,
find out every day. You
please,
find out like a kid blowing your mind with.
please. I'm all for it.
I think that social media brought to us a lot of
Yes.
inspiration and a lot of discouraging too sometimes for some people, but a lot of inspiration because you see a lot of amateur drummers, amateur in the way that they don't live their lives winning money doing that. They are students or they work in. I don't know if you already saw those guys that played in paint cans
Mm-hmm.
and some pieces of wood, and they do drum covers online. You see those guys playing very good, and you feel like, well, there is no excuses for nothing. I do have a studio, I do have every condition, and I'm still not trying enough, or at least as much as this guy is trying. Let me ask you just one or two questions more
Please.
before we end. Were you always disciplined and focused in other things in life than drumming? When you were in school, were you like that guy that come home every day and study maths or?
No, I was really just drums. It's always just been my go-to and the thing that's gotten me through all these situations. It's been a big part of my life journey in the sense that it's always been there, even if it wasn't the best of times or I wasn't in a great place with the instrument. I mean, it's still always been a part of my life that way.
Can you like remember where the passion for drums came from?
Mine is not very glamorous. I was the dweeb in middle school. I got picked on all the time, and I saw there's this kid that played drums, and so I thought I would be cool if I was like him and played drums. And it didn't work. Wasn't cool back then. Still not cool now, but I'm still the dweeb. I just channel it into an instrument, I guess. But I'm no different, and that's why I started. I wish it was, oh yeah, I had this transcendental experience or whatnot. Nope.
Did you ever learn how to play other instruments?
I
Or it
play
was
keys very, very poorly, enough to learn theory and read charts. And I know, I know theory, I know chords, and I can hear well that way.
and how do you think it helps you as a session drummer and as a recording drummer?
It also shapes how I come up with my ideas. A lot of the time, I'll think of the melodic voices of the instrument like a chord on a keyboard in the sense that you want the notes to be pleasing to the ear. Therefore, you want a certain level of orchestration and coordination using these voicings in the same way you'd think about like a chord, let's say. And then in like an organ, you've got the foot pedals. So then there's that as well.
Do you use that the fundamental construction of a chord or the melody for your drum solos, for example, when you come up with new ideas
Yes.
or when you're
Yes.
developing?
Yeah, I do. But a lot of what I do for my drum solos though are based on ideas that I feel comfortable enough with to improvise. It's getting better with me improvising with just the four limb stuff and just being able to throw different rhythms into different limbs and play bass. But I still can't do anything I hear at any one point. There's still roadblocks, and I work to overcome those.
When you know that you have to present a drum solo in, for example, in Drumeo, how do you remember the structure? What's the point that makes you guide the line?
One thing I'd like to do is think in melody, but also more or less the flow of the energy and the transitions of the ostinatos and ideas, and also just what I think is pleasing to me, what things that I've been working on that I think demonstrate musical ideas that I believe make a statement.
That's good enough to pass a message, right? And but you don't think in any genre or any you are free of that, right?
I don't think in any particular genre. No, a lot of my stuff comes from Latin rhythms that I saw from Robbie Amin or something. Robbie or one of those drummers showed me, or taking one of those ideas and interpreting it my own way, because I'm not a Latin drummer, but I can certainly find inspiration from the rhythms.
Did you ever had another job that was not playing drums?
Fortunately, it was always teaching drums, but that was some pretty degrading positions there, like teaching a school of rock or being a camp counselor, stuff. It was no good. Yeah, it's just not fond memories.
Do you ever have to be a drummer for example, especially in a live situation, for an artist that you didn't enjoy much, or
many times?
What's your advice to people that are in that position to take it or not take it?
Take it, but turn the kit around and play it left-handed, if it's that easy. I mean, there's definitely value to it, and I would say do it. I mean, there's definitely value to it, but if you discover the world pulling you in a different direction, sometimes it's best to just listen. And I feel like I did that over the past few years more, and I feel like it worked for me a lot more.
If we want to go and have lessons with you, even if it is personally or online, how can we do it?
Find me on Instagram, Alex Cohen Drums, or Alex Cohen NYC. I'm on Facebook as well. Yeah, those are the two best ways to reach me. You could just message me there, and I will get back to you. Promise.
Is it a pad and a drumstick enough?
Just a pad. Yeah, absolutely. Pad and drumstick, totally fine. If you want to be on a drum set, completely fine. I promise I can give you something.
What about your drum book?
You can go to Hudson Music or Amazon or several sites and look at Ultimate Progressive Drumming or Extreme Polyrhythm and Speed Techniques. Those are the two books.
Alex, thank you very, very, very much.
My pleasure.
It was a big pleasure to have you here, and hopefully we'll do it once again and with the drum.
Anytime.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
Awesome.
Sure. Bye.
Later, man. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching this video. And again, if you like this kind of conversations and you get inspired from it, please consider about seeing the other episodes, subscribe the channel, leave the like button, and share your thoughts on the comments below. We'll have very special guests very soon. So until the next episode, don't forget to keep drumming.